Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Tanealyakimbeauty and this is Beauty. In this video, we are going to be playing around with some pieces from the new Ulta X Wandavision collection. If you guys have been following me for any length of time, you know that I love superheroes. I'm a huge fan of both Marvel and DC. I'm wearing one of my Marvel shirts right now. This one, unfortunately, does not have Black Widow on the shirt. I need to get me a Black Widow t-shirt. Anything superhero, anything DC Marvel, I absolutely love it. I bought the Ulta X Wanda collection, Black Widow collection when that one came out last year. So when I saw this one, I definitely had to get it because I love Scarlet Witch and I love Wandavision. So quickly, let's go through all the pieces that I picked up. I did not get everything because some of the things, just were not anything that I was going to get any kind of use out of at all. So I just picked up the pieces that I knew I would use. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the eyeshadow palette vault. It came in this box. I don't know about you, but you see this design here and then like the gold on the outside. All you have is a little tiny picture of Wanda here and it's like in black and gold. I don't know about you, but this gives me more like Iron Man vibes than it does Scarlet Witch or even Wandavision. I don't know. This just, when I see this, I don't think Scarlet Witch. I don't think WandaVision. I think Iron Man. The vault included 3 mini 6-pan eyeshadow palettes. Each one is themed for a different time period, a different decade of the shows that Wanda did in her sitcoms. The first one is from the 50s and 60s. I did swatches, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those in too. But this one is more of a cool tones collection. It says step back into the 50s and 60s with the nifty palette that features cool toned matte shades. This palette has 5 mattes and 1 shimmer. The only shimmer in here is called Charmed, which is kind of that gold. The rest of it are just really pretty cool tone mattes. I did like the color story, but I felt that these did not swatch very well. I felt like they were a little bit patchy. The next palette is from the 70s. It says dance your way into the 70s with a groovy palette that features bronze shimmers and a pop of purple. This palette has 2 mattes and 4 shimmer metallic shades. Of all the 3 palettes that I swatched, this one was the smoothest. It was the creamiest. I really liked the way that the shades looked in these swatches. As far as like swatching and as far as the texture and the creaminess of the shades, the second palette, the 70s one, I like the most. Then last, you have the 80s and 90s themed palette. You'll be totally red when you use the 80s and 90s palette that features fun, vibrant color tones of blues with pop of pink and silver. This one only has 1 matte. It is the pink shade called Chaos. Every other shade in this palette is a shimmer or a metallic. The black kind of shade there is called Supernatural. That one actually has micro glitters in it. Of all the palettes, as far as formula wise, this one was probably my least favorite because it has so many metallics in it. Basically, the only thing you could do with this other than having like one bright pink look going all the way across the lid is every other look you do is going to be metallic. Now, I might try playing around with this in IGTV just because I am curious to see how it would look, all metallic, but we'll just have to see. I also picked up the blush palette and the bronzer and highlighter palette. This is what the blush palette looks like. There are 2 shimmers and there are 2 mattes. I did swatches for these, but you'll see those later on in the video. Same thing with the highlighter and bronzer palette. I did swatches for these, but you'll see those later on in the video whenever I put the look on. You have 2 highlighters and 2 bronzers. I'm just going to say, spoiler alert, these 2 shades are the only ones in this palette that I'm ever going to actually be able to use. I also picked up the Felt Tip Winged Liner Duo kit, as well as the Matte Liner and Liquid Lipstick kit. Real quick, I just want to show you the Black Widow Ulta collection, just so you can kind of see a comparison as far as thought that went into it. This is the Black Widow eyeshadow palette, and then the Black Widow collaboration blush and highlighter palette. As you can see, already much more thought went into this one. This packaging, the design is so nice. As far as the color story in the Black Widow one, and I think as far as I know, these 2 palettes are still available. I love this color story. This gunmetal shade down here, oh my god, it is awesome. But as you can see, this is very Black Widow. And then the same thing with the palette. In this palette, every single shade I can use, even this bronzer shade looks really nice in my skin tone. But let's go ahead and dive into me trying on the palettes and putting together this look. All right, the first thing we're going to do is prime our eyelids. I'm going to use my Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer to do that today. All right, now let's play with these eyeshadow palettes. I think I'm going to take some shades from all three palettes to put together my look. The first palette I'm going to dip into is the 70s themed palette. I'm going to take Hexed, which is this taupey shade here, and I'm going to lay that all over my eyelid just to kind of set down my concealer. Just to kind of give me a smooth base for everything else to blend over. Now I'm going to go into the 50s and 60s themed palette, and I'm going to take Jinx, which is the lighter green in this palette, and put that into my crease. From the second I first swatched these, the greens were like really calling my name. I really, really love green eyeshadow. So I'm just going to put that in the crease and just softly blend it. I mean, they're blending okay. It's not the best formula that I have ever used. The formula in the Black Widow palettes definitely was a little bit smoother, a little bit more blendable than these are. I feel like this shade is just a little bit patchy. It's not as smooth as I would like. The shade itself is pretty, but yeah, it is definitely a little bit patchy. I'm going to go back into the same palette and take Tonic, which is a deeper green, and we're going to put that on the outer corners. I'm going to apply that with my AOA Studio E125 brush. It's kind of angled. I have not used this brush before, but I'm hoping that it'll give me more of an arch on the outer corners. Very deep, rich, pigmenty, foresty green. Hopefully, this brush is kind of big. I wish it was a little bit smaller, but hopefully it'll do what I'm wanting it to do. All right, so far so good. Shade's definitely pigmented. And this brush is definitely giving me more of an arch. Okay, yeah, I like the way that looks. Just kind of tapping it on and then blending it softly into the crease. I have a little bit of fallout here, but just a tiny, tiny bit, not much to really make a difference with anything. Now I'm going to dip back into the 70s palette, and I'm going to take Baddie, which is kind of this bronzy, almost gunmetal metallic shade right here, and I'm going to lay that onto the lid. It's a pretty shimmer. It's not as shiny and metallic as it is in the pan. It's kind of a subtle shine. But you know, that kind of makes sense for the 1970s. I don't think we were like really doing bright colors yet in the 70s. Not that I was around then. I mean, I was born in 76 though, but just based on pictures and stuff that I've seen, I don't think super bright colors was a thing in the 70s yet. So just for a little bit more intensity, I'm going to go ahead and quickly spray this shade just to see if I can kick it up a notch. A little, not much, didn't help much. I'm going to try pressing some on with my finger. Sometimes just using your finger can help kick up that intensity. It's a little bit shinier, not a whole lot, but I'm definitely seeing a little bit more pigment. Real quick, I'm going to take a little more Tonic, and I'm just going to lightly brush that along my lower lash line. To finish off this look, we're going to go into the 80s and 90s palette, and we're going to take Wicked, and we're going to put that in the inner corner. Take a little bit down into the lower lash line. Now we're going to give the winged eyeliner kit a spin. You have two pieces. First one is just the little felt tip pin, and then you have these stamps. You have a bigger one. So this one, I think this is the bigger side, and then you have the smaller side, so you can just kind of stamp a wing. I was actually excited about this kit. I've always wanted to try a wing stamp, so yeah, I was kind of excited about this kit. So I'm looking forward to definitely giving this a try. The first thing we're going to do is line with the liner, and then we're going to stamp on the outer corner. All right, so first, let's just fill in a line. You guys know how much I love to do winged liner. All right, this is actually very smooth and thick. You see that? Super black. That didn't take any effort at all. All right, now let's do the stamp. I think I want to do the smaller one today. Actually, I think, you know what? It's not small and medium, it's left and right. Duh. So one of them is for the left side, the other one is for the right side. I'm a little bit slow. So we're going to take the wing for the left side. Hopefully, God willing, I do this correctly. So I'm going to position it here where I normally put my wing. And then just press. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that. I'm definitely going to need a little bit more practice. kind of like clean that up to get a little bit more of a point, but I definitely like the way that that came out. I'm gonna go ahead and recreate that on this eye. They're on my lashes, and then we'll come back and we'll do the blush and the highlighter palettes. All right, lashes are on. I'm actually trying a new pair. These are the Noir Pro Beauty Essentials 3D Faux Mink Lashes. I actually picked these up from TJ Maxx. They were $5.99. I really like how they flare out on the outside, the bottom, on the outer corner, and then they're just kind of nice and fluffy. This is really, really pretty. All right, now let's dive into this blush and this highlighter. The first thing we're going to do is the blush palette. There are 4 shades in this palette: Peachy Pink, Warm Pink Coral, Pink with Golden Shimmer, and Deep Dusty Rose. It looks like 2 of these shades are shimmers and then 2 of them are mattes. Let me go ahead and swatch these real quick for you guys. Those are the 2 matte shades. You have a lighter pink and then a deeper pink. I do wish one of these was like a rich red, but you know, they're pretty. The 2 matte shades were called Hexed and Warped, by the way. So now I'm going to quickly swatch these shimmers. These are called Spell and Magic. These feel a little bit like gritty in the pan. They're not as smooth as the mattes, or also not as smooth as some shimmers that I have seen, but this is what they look like. These 2 look very similar to each other. I'm not seeing a whole lot of contrast between them. A little more coral here, a little bit more pink here, but for the most part, they do look very, very similar to each other. Now I'm going to go ahead and swatch the highlighter palette, the bronzer highlighter palette real quick. We have Shimmer Pale Gold, Soft Gold with Peach Shimmer, Medium Bronze, and Deep Bronze. As you guys know, I don't really bronze, and if I did, these 2 shades look like they're a little bit too light for me, but then again, I could be wrong. Let me swatch the highlighters and then I'll swatch the bronzes. Timeless, and I say bronzes, bronzers, and Nostalgia. Yeah, these feel very similar to the blushes, kind of gritty. They are smoother going on in these swatches, but they're definitely not as smooth as I would like, but that's how they look. A little bit of shine to them, not a whole lot. We'll see how they look on the face. And now the bronzers, we have Stellar and we have Everlasting. See, these just look like they're going to be way too light for me. Like, I'm not even seeing anything on my hand. Very, very, very barely. You see that? One looks a little more cool tone, the other one looks a little bit more warm, but other than that, I am definitely not really seeing much. They're right there, but yeah, my skin tone, they just kind of blend in. I don't think I'm going to get much use out of those, or yeah, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of use out of the bronzers. I think for this eye look, I'm going to go ahead and go into the deepest shade. I'm going to throw Warped onto my cheeks. It's like a deepy mauve pink. You know what? That actually has just a slight bit of luminescence. I thought that it was a complete matte, but it's not. It's actually a little bit glowy. I prefer a matte, but that's actually a really pretty tone. It's not too bad. I'm going to go into Timeless in the highlighter bronzer palette. That was kind of the more peachy of the 2 highlighters. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty on the skin. That's actually very, very pretty. I am getting a little bit of my texture showing, but it's a very smooth formula and it's blending very, very nicely. I'm going to take my blush brush and just kind of blend these 2 together. I got a little bit too much highlighter on this cheek, so I'll just kind of mesh the 2 together. The last thing we have to test out is the matte liquid lipstick and lip liner kit. They also have lip glosses, but as you guys know, I don't really use lip glosses, so I didn't get those. Go ahead and swatch these for you guys real quick. Drawing it on with my left hand, so they might be a little bit messy. That's what the packaging looks like on the lip liner and the liquid lipstick, and this is what the swatches look like. It's a lip liner, that's the liquid lipstick. Very pretty tones of red, and looks like there may be like a little bit of an iridescent pink underneath it as well. The lip liner was like super creamy whenever I put it on my hands, by the way. But let's go ahead and line our lips. Now we're going to test out the liquid lipstick. Very pretty red, very pigmented, very opaque. It's very, very thin formula. The texture feels more like a lip stain than the liquid lipstick. All right, now it says it is a matte formula, so I'm going to give it a minute to dry down, and then we'll come back and we'll do our final thoughts on the entire collection. These are the pieces that I picked up in the collection. All right, so it's been about a minute and a half. Let's go ahead and do our kiss test. All right, as you can see, it is mostly dried down, just left a little bitty ring on the outside. So this should be pretty long wearing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wear this look, lip everything throughout the rest of the day. It's about noon right now. See how it holds up through eating and drinking. And if I can remember, I will drop a little pinned comment down below so you guys can kind of see what the wear time and all that was like. But let's go ahead and do some final thoughts. First, the eyeshadow palettes. These were nice. The formula was nice. It's definitely not the best formula that I've ever used. The formula in the Black Widow X Ulta collection was definitely better than the ones in here, but I do like the look that I was able to put together. The greens are like really, really beautiful. I do like how that came out, and I really did enjoy the winged eyeliner kit. The felt tip liner was very smooth. It did not drag. It did not tug. Very, very black. It dried down to matte, and I really did enjoy the stamps. First time I've ever used a stamp for a wing, and I really did like it. It does make doing a wing a lot quicker. Now these are big wings, so if you're wanting like a smaller, daintier wing, these are not going to give you that. These give you like nice big full wings, but that's the type of wing that I like, so definitely going to get a lot of use out of this. Now the blush and the highlighter palettes, these were definitely not my favorite formulas. These felt more cheap as far as the formulas were concerned. The shimmer blushes as well as the highlighters felt a little bit more gritty. They weren't very silky and very smooth. As far as like the blush palette, I have every single one of these shades in like every other palette or blushes, you know, single blushes that I have. I really would have liked to have seen a deep, rich red. If there was a bright red blush in here, oh my God, you guys, I would have been so excited. But other than that, this is just a regular old basic blush color story. Nothing very exciting. As far as the highlighter palette, there are only 2 shades in here that I'm ever going to get any use out of, and that's the 2 highlighters. The bronzers, these are definitely not made for deeper skin tones. When I swatch these on my hands, they just blended right into my skin. So I basically have a palette with 4 shades. Only 2 of the shades I'm actually going to get used to. That's one of the main reasons why I don't like to buy palettes, because usually I'm in a situation where not all 4 shades are going to work for me. And then the last thing is the matte lip duo. I like both of these. The lip liner was very, very creamy. It went on very smooth, didn't tug, didn't pull. We'll see how well it lasts throughout the day. The liquid lipstick itself was very thin. It wasn't like, you know, like a lip cream like from NYX or something like that. It felt more like a lip stain than a liquid lipstick. It's not drying though. I don't feel like my lips are like particularly cracking or anything. We'll see how it goes throughout the day. I have a feeling that it's going to probably fade and maybe crack throughout the day. But like I said, if I can remember, I'll drop a pinned comment down below just to kind of update you guys on that. So that was all the pieces that I picked up. As a whole, I like the collection, but like I said in the beginning, they could have put more thought into the packaging. You definitely need more red for Scarlet Witch. I just don't feel like they put as much thought into this collection as they did with the collaboration with Black Widow. I feel like they could have done a lot more with it. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you hit subscribe and join my little family if you are not already subscribed. And if you'd like to be notified of any videos that may be coming up in the future, just be sure to tap the notification bell down below. You'll be notified each and every time. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm really, really enjoying doing my TikTok. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.